Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're checking it out. It's Spence from the Highly Advised Podcast. This is episode 62. I'm here with a couple good friends, a few good brothers of mine. Fellas, introduce yourselves.
Yo, it's your boy, a.k.a. the motherfucking main event. I don't even know why I said a.k.a. first. I didn't even introduce myself first. It's your boy, Big Cozy, Too Cozy, a.k.a. the main event, a.k.a. the guy, the bad guy, the only guy, the 1 and 21 and 1. Shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to the listeners. Let's go.
This is Relaxing OG _ Jackson. I am here with my amigos and compadres once again. We are back.
Yes.
Episode 62.
62, man.
Episodes. I was going to say, Nigel sounds very excited, man.
Yeah, man. Yo, listen, man. We come in here, in the words of Kathleen, anybody that's listened to a few episodes with Kathleen as guest, we bring in crackhead energy. Nigel restoring the energy, man. He making it feel like it's 86 all over again.
Yeah, man. He's a fun guy, like Kawhi.
I have all of that energy inside me right at the moment.
Have you guys ever seen the comments of like, oh, Kawhi is downloading excitement program exe?
I've seen those. Those things always kill me every time, man.
Oh, man.
Did you get the new software update to your emotions, man?
It's there. It's
right.
It came in. You see the smile pop up on my face?
I see. Yeah.
They can't hear the smile.
Like they can see it on the YouTube. Actually, if they go and subscribe to Highly Advised Podcast on YouTube, Highly Advised Podcast on Instagram, Advise Highly on Twitter, you can subscribe to me, Relaxing OG _ Jackson on IG, Big Cozy, Too Cozy. Hold on, I got it. It's okay. And St. Kitch, ST.KITCH is here. We are all here, listeners, for the week.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even have to introduce myself. Sometimes you got, like, I was always told, you made it when you walk into a room and others introduce you. Thank you, Nigel.
No problem. I got you.
Hey,
Thank you, man.
Right on, brother.
Yeah,
how have you guys been?
Solid.
Yeah, how have y'all weeks been so far, man? How's the week been since the last time we talked to the listeners?
Oh, man. I'm not going to lie, man. Last week was cool. I'm feeling good. Right now as we're recording. I think this upcoming week, it'll be a little busy because, brother got to work, you know what I mean? Got to make this 150 million, you know what I'm saying? Brother got to do that. Yes, sir. But it was cool. Me and the old lady, we saw The Five Bloods on Netflix.
Is that good?
Huh?
So there's a Spike Lee movie that's exclusively on Netflix called The Five Bloods. That's how it's pronounced too. The Five Bloods. So not the. So yeah. And the gist of it is 5 or 4 Vietnam War veterans return to Vietnam, reminiscing the 5th member who passed away in the past during the war. The movie definitely took a left turn, one that I was not expecting. I wouldn't say it's the greatest movie, but I would tell somebody, hey, just give it a chance because you might have a different perception than I did. Right now, it's like 92% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, if you care about those critics. And that's that. I thought the movie was all right, but that was my movie of the week. I'm gonna start doing movie of the weeks, listeners. If for the listeners that definitely don't know, because I never revealed this, I'm low key a movie buff, so that's that.
That's the best. So what's your favorite movie so far this year then?
Ooh, man, it might have to be. It's close, man. I still like Judas and the Black Messiah, man. That might be top pick for me. That movie was powerful, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. And usually those type of movies, I'll watch it once and be like, yeah, damn, that's fucked up, and then move on. This one had me be like, damn. I was talking about it with my coworkers at work and shit. I was like, damn.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yeah, so that's definitely up there. I mean, there has been some entertaining movies, but as far as like, hey, this deserves all the awards and recognition, that might be it right now.
I can respect that. That American Skin was also a good movie too.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was probably honestly, it was my favorite movie until I saw Judas and the Black Messiah. That's when I was like, okay, this might be competition. But it was a really great movie. Of course, Nate Parker's Nate Parker.
Right.
Anybody that knows what I mean by that knows what I mean by that. So it's a really good movie. But yeah, I would definitely suggest checking that out too. Judas and Black Messiah was a great movie this year so far. And we're only halfway through the year.
Yeah,
you know what movie was good?
What's that?
Soul, the Disney movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
It's actually not that bad.
It's a good movie. Yeah, I agree with that. That movie is pretty solid. Shouts out to Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, and we got Black Widow coming out soon, right? Like in like a week or so.
Yeah, next week of this recording, Black Widow comes out. That's going to be like the first box office smash of the year because there's a lot of diehard Marvel fans. So
yeah, it should be interesting. I just found out about Black Widow, so I think I found out about it like on. I think I was talking to you, Nigel.
Probably so.
Yeah, because I think I saw. You know how you get like the YouTube ads,
yeah.
And I saw it. I was just like, oh, Black Widow. I'll look it up. I'm thinking it's something that comes out in December.
Nah, man. I don't know. People are excited for it too. It's like the first Marvel movie in quite a bit of time. So I mean, you already know people are like excited for the Marvel movies.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite sure someone in the comments is going to kill me for not being aware that hey, look,
he doesn't look so smart.
Oh man.
It's always those type of comedy.
Never fails, man. Never fails.
You're just dumb, like according to the listeners. Like just think we're stupid.
Yeah, I mean hey,
not
man.
The listeners, the YouTube
specific
commenters.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to say that.
Yeah, not all of them. We love you.
Yeah. And if you're curious to see what we're talking about, anybody listening, go to our YouTube page, Highly Advised Podcast. Read the comments that people leave. You will be surprised. That's all I'll say about that. I'm quite sure if they haven't killed me yet, they will be killing me for not being aware of Black Widow. Just like probably me saying that I thought Soulja Boy would win the Verzuz.
Hold on, wait.
I
thought you. Okay. I was going to say.
All right.
It was a dramatic pause, man. I wanted a nice little cliffhanger, man.
So what'd you think, man?
I can say it was like, to me, this is probably by far one of my favorite verses. I watched this joint like 3 times. It's a classic. I do think Soulja Boy lost. I do think Soulja Boy didn't care about the rules.
Exactly.
like Soulja Boy did not care about Soulja Boy did not care about the rules whatsoever, man. He played like some of the same songs multiple rounds, which was entertaining in itself. I mean, there's so much more to be said, but what do you think about it?
I thought it was entertaining as hell. I was sitting there watching it. Soulja Boy is just getting beat by Bow Wow, like smoking on the side of the stage, chilling. You know what I mean? Like that shit. To me, I don't think Soulja Boy's plan was to go in there and win first and foremost. I don't think he thought he was gonna win. Obviously,
I don't think Soulja Boy cared.
Exactly. I think his goal was to be very entertaining, and in that he succeeded. He succeeded because that shit was funny.
Yeah, and on top of it, you got to realize I think the one thing about Soulja Boy is, and I've been waiting for this the whole year, because it's like every January is Soulja first quarter. Soulja Boy always pops up like he's Candyman, right? And I think that's a movie that's coming out too pretty soon. Listeners should be on the lookouts for that as well. But just like Candyman, Soulja Boy pops, or not even Candyman. Soon as you say you're the first to do anything, he pops up in the mirror, right? So I've been waiting all year to say, where is Soulja Boy? When is Soulja Boy coming out? And in his fashion, he pops out as he always does to promote something. And that's what I realized. That's what it all was. He didn't care about anything because, of course, he had to promote that he has his own strain of weed. him and Bow Wow went back and forth. He told Bow Wow, "You only sell do-rags." He's like, I sell my own strain of weed. This is my own. This is Soulja Zaza.
Wow.
different type of dude, man. Like, he got blown out though. I will say that.
It was pretty bad. Lil Bow Wow, the way I see it is, or Bow Wow, like he went in there and right after round 4, things got kind of ugly. You know what I mean? It didn't take too long. You know what I mean? And not to say that Soulja Boy didn't play anything good, but it wasn't a good night for him.
Yeah, I mean, I have him winning like 3 or 4 rounds, and I'm giving him those rounds because they're like, the song is too nostalgic for me. In terms of nostalgia, in comparison to what it was playing against, it was just too nostalgic for me. Like, Shootout, She Got a Donk. What was the other joint? I think it was Get Out My Face, and it was something else. But like, he had like a couple joints that were worthwhile, but Bow Wow just showed you there, with no pun intended, he's a different pedigree when it comes to this.
What surprised me about Bow Wow doing the performance of his songs is that he did them like he's been rapping these songs like since yesterday. You know what I mean? Like he was up there like he didn't miss a step. I was like, oh, that's.
But
he's
been doing the Scream tour.
I forgot.
So yeah. I want to chime in just real quick. And to piggyback off of Nigel's point, well, your point actually, Spence, with the pedigree thing. But if you look at Bow Wow and the type of artist that he surrounded himself with when he was in the prime of his career and upcoming versus Soulja Boy, you know what I mean? I think the best artist Soulja Boy has been around while making music, I guess obviously Drake with the We Winnin' song, but outside of that, like, you got Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka, Lil B, you know what I mean? Soulja Boy, I feel like him versus Bow Wow was fun for entertainment purposes and kind of like, hey, what kind of, TV gold we're going to get this night. But as far as like a music competition, like last week, we all agree like, hey, Bow Wow is going to beat this guy. I think Soulja Boy would have fared better against somebody, maybe another Atlanta artist or down south artist, because I felt like Bow Wow just had too many hits and he's been in the game for way too long. You know what I mean? His music, it ranges better with different crowds, while Soulja Boy is mainly, particularly the club / ratchet crowd. I wouldn't even say Soulja Boy is part of the trap crowd for real, because nobody's listening to Soulja Boy for trap music.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think there would have been anybody else I would have rather seen go against each other.
No,
these two.
And you're right in that. I think that's what I mean. Like, for entertainment purposes, it was fun to see. It was a good matchup for that. But as far as like talent wise, it was a mismatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can agree to that. Talent wise, even when Bow Wow was coming out with different hits from, he brought 3-6 Mafia out. He brought the Brat, JD, Amorion, like, and these are just like, at this moment when he's bringing these artists out, this is like at the tail end of his like performance. Like, Soulja Boy had brought out Romeo. He had brought out French Montana. He had Nicki Minaj. He dropped the exclusive with Nicki Minaj. But like, just in terms of like the bag that he picked from, Bow Wow started this whole thing off with, like, in the earlier rounds, first 5 rounds, with a song with Destiny's Child. Like, you can't match that. It's hard to match that. Don't get me wrong, Soulja Boy has hits. He's produced for a lot of people. He has the work that can compete, quote unquote, but it doesn't hold a candle. It doesn't hold a match to the candle.
When he played the song with Destiny's Child, I knew it was going to be over, because I did, man, because I was just like, this song, it's a song with Destiny's Child, but I was like, he has way better songs than this. It was like in round like 2 or 3, he played that. I was like, oh, it's over. I was like, it's over.
I mean, but you saw how Soulja Boy diverted from it. Destiny's Child, play something new, man. You playing old stuff. He's like,
just like Gucci.
Yep. He's like, yo, you playing old music, man. He's like, matter of fact, I'm about to play a remix to my song She Makes a Clap with Nicki Minaj because it just came in. Then after that round, and I think they may have edited this part out because he starts it off with she makes a clap. Then the next round he goes, she makes a clap with the remix with Nicki Minaj after the Destiny's Child thing. Then he says, okay, cool. I'm going to play. She makes a clap again, but this time with French Montana, and French Montana came out. So like I think at that point he was just probably like, yo, listen, I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter. When I think JD and the Brat and all that, and I think someone else came out, like it really looked like it was like, hey, where the party at video all over again. It was like, yeah, you saw Soulja Boy just looking, standing there like,
I think he knew.
Yeah.
I don't think Soulja Boy went in there thinking that he was gonna win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he was gonna go in there and put on a performance, and he did that.
Yeah, and promote his stuff. Heck, he did the what you call him? Well, I watched the clip actually when he was trying to get into the venue, and he had some friends or whatever. He had like I guess his entourage, and they were trying to say like if they don't have a ticket, they can't get in. He told them, "Hey, listen, Bow Wow can do this by himself. I'll leave. I'm Big Draco." He told them straight up, "I'll leave. Matter of fact, forget it. Bow Wow can do the show by himself. He could perform by himself. I'm about to leave." And they're like, "Oh, no. Of course they start pandering." So I can only imagine what they did. I'm quite sure it didn't work for the DJ Academics when he was in the show because he actually he became Soulja Boy's DJ that night, which was
all right.
So I mean, it was nonetheless it was entertaining, nostalgic. Definitely reminded me of Club Kids.
Huh. Oh Jesus,
man! Listen, bro. Anybody that's listening, because the title in itself just sounds kind of crazy. In a location in high school, there was a place that served as a night space for young teenagers in high school to entertain themselves by partying. In so many words, it was like a nightclub for kids. And it was a very entertaining space.
Oh man. I might have.
Did you ever go?
Yeah, I've been there a few times. Actually, D'Angelo, he was the first person. So, little quick story, listeners, before we move on. This is my first year at this location, at this state. I go to the homecoming dance, and D'Angelo's there with his amigos. And D'Angelo's like, me and him had the same math class, so we was becoming cool, right. So we knew each other. So he was like, hey, man, I'm going to the after party. So I'm thinking like, oh, he's talking about like a house party or some shit, but cool, I'm going to go with him. And we go to this fucking spot, and I'm like, hey, man, this don't look like no after party spot. He said, nah, man, just trust me. It's, it's going to be lit, all this other shit, right? Back then, there weren't
even a word.
Yeah, back then they weren't even saying lit. The big thing they were saying back in the day was hype, the corny shit. Anyway, so we go inside this motherfucker, and I'm like, this place is fucking, it's crazy, yo. Like, you be seeing motherfucker. I mean, of course, all the high schoolers going hard and they're dancing and all that stuff. So, but you see like these 20-year-old people in that motherfucker. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, don't you know you 20? Like, this ain't the place for you.
Mind you, listeners, this place looks like a Chuck E. Cheese at night. Essentially, without the animatronics.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I had a good night. I had a fun night. I did a lot of dancing and all that stuff.
They had Freeway there before.
Yeah, I heard. So
crazy.
But that place is also known for like little shootouts and little scuffles and shit. So man. It was a spot. I wouldn't say a spot to be desired, but it was something. So they played a lot of Usher there.
Yes.
They played a lot of Usher there.
A lot of T-Pain.
Yeah, that was that era, man.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy era. But yeah, man, they played. You literally could get anything from out of there. from starting the night off with T-Pain to ending it with Usher, which is ironic just because I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but apparently Usher had pulled T-Pain aside for a conversation, I believe on an airplane, where he told him that he destroyed music.
And, I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting. Shouts out to T-Pain. Shouts out to Usher.
You should actually, if anybody should agree with T-Pain, it should be you for how much you hate and loathe the current sound of hip hop with autotune.
There's a difference.
We got it. All right, next topic.
Oh wow.
This is my quick take on this shit, right? Since he had to say that. Let me clarify. T-Pain, even though he claimed he wasn't no singer or whatever the fuck, motherfucker makes singing songs. Motherfucker was not rapping. Let's be real. The rappers that come out today, they're trying to rap, but since they can't rap, they mask it with autotune. So that's the difference. There's the difference. T-Pain has proven, hey, when I'm rapping, I'm not using autotune when he's really rapping. But when he's making these singing pop R&B songs, he's using autotune, which is cool for that shit. Because that's originally, when we go back to, what's the name? Zapp and Roger with Computer Love and all that shit, they would use autotune singing. When Snoop Dogg brought that shit back for sexual seduction, what he was doing? He was fucking singing.
Yo, listen, man.
But hey, you know,
hey, man,
that's the reaction you're gonna get out of me with that one.
Dinosaurs, man. Man.
The land before time.
It's crazy because, like, I think really with T-Pain, like him saying that to T-Pain, I think like he just was hot around that time. You know what I mean? He was making the hot fucking music. Like, you can't be mad at him for that. I don't think he ruined anything. I think he just did what he did well. I mean, it is what it is.
He progressed the sound of music at the end of the day. Like, I mean, from him, you ended up getting like T-Pain was running with it, and then next thing you know, Wayne started running with it. And Wayne was running when he started running with autotune. Granted, this was probably like 2008, probably 2007, 2008, because he was still hot and he was using autotune. But like,
there's artists who were there before T-Pain.
Okay, Jay-Z.
T-Pain.
Okay, Jay-Z.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? He didn't ruin anything for anybody. That's all.
Okay, Jay-Z. That's a Jay-Z quote, man.
Is it?
Yeah. You never watched it's the Breakfast Club when they asked him did he steal Young Chris's flow, and he was like, he was like, I was rapping before Young Chris, I was rapping after Young Chris.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So you tell me, but nah. I mean, to me, my thing is this. Yes, there's people before and after T-Pain. I think T-Pain is me personally. I think T-Pain is the one that brought that sound back, that made everybody want. Because after T-Pain, there became an era where everybody was trying to use autotune, and it sounded horrible. Like from the late 2000s to like the early 2010s, even mid 2010s, it sounded horrible. I feel like the sound hasn't perfected itself until like recently, in the most recent years, outside of like your Thug, your Future, Migos,
Chief So.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he. Like
he destroyed it though. He was one of the bad ones.
No, I don't think he destroyed it. And here's what I have to say on that. I'm not saying his auto-tune quality was good, because some of the best in the terms of worst music, right? So I feel like Chief Keef, he kind of gave all the SoundCloud rappers the path to greatness, and that's me being polite, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Chief Keef. That's why I say he's part of that little group as well. Like we don't get no Lil Uzis and Playboy Cardis without Chief Keef.
Yeah, I can respect that. I can definitely respect that. I mean, I think you did need someone like Chief Keef to help pave the way, and the same goes with like T-Pain. He paved the way for so many artists that. Eventually, I mean, heck, it's a stretch it's a far stretch. But I think even when you look at how when Drake came out, right, we had our ears were already palatable to someone singing already that wasn't necessarily a singer or wasn't perceived as a singer because T-Pain can actually sing.
Right.
So, like, I mean, he helped pave the way for these different artists in different ways, whether it's directly or indirectly. So, I mean, I think Usher just has, more than likely, someone like Usher is probably like, yo, it's hard to thrive in this era with someone with someone that's naturally vocally talented. So I think that's really what it comes down to. I don't know. I think it's similar to what I said before. It's dinosaurs, man. Like a land before time. Like sounds progress. You got to move past it, man.
That's the thing. If you can't progress and you can't like move your sound forward, then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like there are multiple artists that have been here for decades. You know what I mean? It is not T-Pain's fault that people can't evolve. Tyler, the Creator, evolved. He put out an album recently, and it sounds evolving.
DJ,
I know you guys listen.
It's a DJ drama mix. It's a Gangsta Grills mixtape, man.
Oh man. Call Me If You Get Lost. I like the album. I think the album is one of the best projects for rap music of the year so far. I think it gives me the, like Spence was saying, Gangsta Grills mixtape vibes. And I think it was a very interesting take of a album because a lot of people that listen to rap music today, they didn't grow up on what we grew up on, the dedications and shit.
Yeah.
When you had all these random DJs, they were popular, like your DJ Holidays or DJ Technics and DJ Green Lantern and shit like that. Fuck Trapaholics, who was probably one of the most iconic DJs of the early 2010s. So for Tyler Creator to have DJ drama throughout the album with him and give him that old feel, I thought was real dope. And the music was good. The rapping was dope. Even when Tyler wasn't rapping, when he was singing songs like Sweet / I Thought You Can Dance or some shit like that. I could be making that the song title wrong. I Thought You Can Dance. I Thought You Want to Dance, whatever. Songs like that, it still sounded dope, man. I just think it all blended well, man. It actually, when I listen to the album, it reminds me a little bit of the Childish Gambino DJ Drama project that they had. I think it's like Stone Mountain something.
Kawhi. Yeah, Kawhi Stone Mountain.
Yeah, that's what it gave me a little bit because I remember when Childish Gambino, he was rapping too, and he was kind of blending the singing. And I thought that was dope back then as well. And that was like, I think he just came off the heels of Because the Internet album, which a lot of people enjoy that album. I think like Call Me If You Get Lost, will it be rap album of the year? I don't know, because you still have the off season, which a lot of people still fuck with today, and as they should. You got Pray for Haiti, which is getting a lot of love because it's like kind of like a surprise good rap album. Not because Matt Kami is a bad artist. It's just that he was barely unknown until he just released.
Right.
So shouts out Tyler Creator. Call Me If You Get Lost. I fucks with this album. Man, I know I don't do 0.5 on ratings. I'll give it a 4.
Don't do it. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I can't give it a
4. Give it a solid 4. Give it a solid 4.
All right. I'll give it a solid 4 then. Out of this, for the sake of how we rate things, but it's good.
Why does the 0.5 really bother you like that, man?
So it doesn't bother me. Me and Lyle.
He strong armed.
No, did I strong arm him? Did I put a gun to his head? No.
Yes. He told don't do it. Just, I mean, it's not a 5. We'll give it a 4.
I'm about to explain.
Give it a 4 now.
The reason why 4.5s don't make sense is because that's a 9. And at that point in time, you might as well just have 1 through 10.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Nigel. If we're doing out of 5, then we should do out of 5. And if we need a larger system, then we should do 1 through 10. I agree with him on that.
Because you want to know what you start doing, you do like, oh, well, that's like a 9.5. And it's like, okay, so what is it, like 4.7? Like that doesn't, like, it's just too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not all 5s are equal. Not all 4s are equal. Some 4s are going to be better than others. Some 5s are going to be perfect. Some 5s are not.
Yeah, that's why. So it's either we stick with the 5 or we increase it through 1 through 10. Because I agree with Nigel. It's just too. I don't know. It's too like, hey man, just give a definitive answer. It's too gray.
But before you give your answer, Spence, go ahead.
No, let him respond. Let him respond.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I mean, I understand. I guess to me is, I get the concept in that way of rating it, but I also think like the reality is, like, I mean, we all come up off. I think most people that come up with these ratings come up off like the source error, right? Where some things are, you might get 4.5 mics. You might not get 5 mics. Doesn't mean it's, to me, just because I say something's a 4.5 might be pretty much damn near perfect, but it might not be perfect. But at the same time, I don't think if it's out of 10, I feel like I'm going to say like, well, it's still perfect. It's too perfect to be a 9, but it's not perfect enough to be a 10 still. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's just the way. To me, that's why I look at it that way. That's why I think even when people use 4.5s, now when you start saying, "Oh, I give it 1.5," it's like, okay, bro, just call it a 1 or call it a 2, whatever. But if it's like, if you're between 4 and 5, to me, it's nothing wrong with like a half. Don't start saying it's 4.75 or 4.2. That's nonsense.
But and I hear what you're saying, but then you'll start to have those people like, well, what if it's better than a 4.5, but it's not a 5?
Well, it's
kind of like the people are like, oh, I wish we had Friday off of school every day. Then once that happens, people are going to be like, well, I wish we had Thursday off of school every day. There has to be a definitive end. That's no, for real. Because it becomes, in the words of A$AP Rocky, it becomes a slippery slope.
What? Yeah, he did say that in Fresh.
Yeah, and you mean Dope.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. My bad. I always get those 2 names.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's to each his own. I mean, I just leave it. I understand. I just don't necessarily agree. Just because, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's all us 3 here. Yeah. But I mean, nonetheless, though, like, back to the album. Call me if you get lost. Well, I'll leave the floor open. Well, let me say my piece because I know Nigel's like the biggest fan, a Tyler fan out of all of us. I think it was a great album. I expected it to be a good album or a great album because Tyler always delivers. But this time, I think him having it as a DJ drama mixtape. The first time I listened to it, that was my impression. It was like, oh, this is a mixtape. This is like a drama mixtape. But then after I actually sat with it, it was like it's impossible to call it anything other than an album because it still has the Tyler diversity while him just spitting over like some hard beats with great features from Pharrell to Uzi Vert, and as well as just having like the spitting, but at the same time having the music where it's like, okay, this is a concept like Wilbur or Wilshire, which to me is personally to me that's like my favorite song off the album.
That's a good song.
Yeah, it's like I think the concept of it is very dope. I'm quite sure like there's people that can relate to that in real life. I'm quite sure of, but like it's just a cool concept. I think that's a cool concept. So to me, I just think it was a great album. If we're going off that scale, I guess I would give it a 4. But it's like to me, it's a damn near perfect album at the end of the day. So I think the only thing that would make it a perfect album to me would have been if he had incorporated a little bit more songs that were similar to the end, where like you have Wilshire and things like that, like just to give it more, a little bit more depth in terms of like variety. But other than that, and that would have just been like 1 or 2 more songs. But
me personally, I think the album is like the perfect length. I'm glad that there's not more songs like Wilshire, not because I don't like Wilshire, but because you have that song and like Sweet, I think, or Let's Dance, and those songs are both like 9-minute long songs.
Yeah, they're pretty long.
They're pretty long. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I'm not like a 9-minute long 4-track album type. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't need that. But like
I love that shit.
Nah, that's not my shit at all. But I mean, like me personally, I enjoy this album a lot. It's really good. I listened to it and I don't want to call it like album of the year. I think it's going to be one of the top albums, but I feel like when an album comes out and it's only been like a few days or like a week or something, you kind of got to sit with it for a while and see how much you actually like it. I like this album every time I listen to it. I think my favorite song is Juggernaut. Uzi's verse might be one of my favorite verses on the album. Tyler Creator's rapping, of course, like he always is. His beat selection is cool. I like the up tempo-ness of the album. I think this album has a lot of that, with the slowdown being Wilshire. I like hearing Tyler rap. He's good at rapping about his life, whether he's like, you know, kind of flexing or whether he's just like talking about stuff like relationships and his friends and whatnot. So, I mean, like, it's interesting to hear this evolution of Tyler after all this time where he, like, will reference, like, things from the past, but, I mean, it's clearly past that. So, I enjoyed this album a lot, and I think anybody who likes rap should give this album a listen.
Yeah, for sure. Naja was also telling me that he liked that song "Run It Up" at the end of the song. he liked who's the rapper at the end of the song, Nigel?
I don't know the rapper's name. I'm not like the biggest fan of it. It's just not my favorite. But that's kind of growing on me a little bit. It's catchy.
Yeah, like I don't know.
It's catchy.
I have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like I think to me I think I might know what song you're talking about now that I think about it. But yeah, like, I mean, to me, Tyler is Tyler at the end of the day, right? And I know the way he makes music is just always evolutionary, right? In terms of like from his beginning to where he is now, and from when you listen to as soon as you press play, you're just easily able to identify like, okay, this is not like what I've heard before. To me, I think there are elements of like his past music to some extent. Like to me, it made me go all the way back to listen to Bastard. Just because it was like, because there's certain things he says, certain things that like he says, it's like, okay, let me go back to like some of his earlier projects that I was a fan of and songs. And it's like, you just hear the progression, but you can still hear like some similarities. I mean, I might be on a limb here saying this, and he probably won't get the recognition for it. But he may end up being like this era's like, he's this era's Tyler, the Creator, but he has a lot of similarities that remind me of Kanye West in terms of like the rapper, producer, but the sound continuously evolves, but like it hasn't teetered off yet. But when I say this, I mean like Kanye West that stopped after like somewhere in the mid 2000s.
So I got a question now that you say that. Listeners, we recorded an episode of the podcast called Icons versus Legends. And I had said that Tyler the Creator was a legend on that podcast. Spence, do you now feel like Tyler the Creator is a legend?
No.
All right.
I still don't feel like it.
I can't. My bad. Spence.
Well, I was just gonna say I just can't. Like, I mean, he put out a great project, but like I need more time. Like, I think.
How many great projects does he need to release?
I mean, it's once I feel like he's a legend. Like it's very subjective at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. To me, I just don't feel like he's a legend. I mean, I think he has like some iconic status at the moment, and I think the moment you have that legend conversation is probably when he like starts to teeter off, or like he's just that massively dominant. And I just feel like neither has happened. I don't see him teetering off yet. I don't see him having like, I don't think, even though I think he puts out big projects, I still don't see him being like he's still not in the top billing when it comes to like recognition with artists. When you're saying like, okay, hip hop.
I disagree with a lot of that.
I mean, well, to me, and that's fine. I mean, to me, when I think of like, okay, when we talk hip hop and we're talking the best artists or the legendary artists of the past decade, Tyler the Creator's not the first he's not even the fifth to come to mind.
And that's fair enough. But I mean, like, do you think like I think he's in the discussion of people who will be known like throughout the 2010s. Like, he doesn't have to be top 5, and that's fine. But does that mean that 5 or 6 through 10 are not like don't deserve that legendary status? Because I know there are definitely going to be people who fall in that list of people who will end up being legends.
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's subjective. I feel like the certain terms like legends and icons, like you just can't use them too loosely. And to me, I can't. To me, if it's only 5 spots, like I'm not gonna say like, oh, these may be like, he may be a legend. He may end up becoming a legend from like a past era, but I don't see him being like, oh, this is the legend Tyler the Creator. Now, granted, I think this project will help transfer his sound to be more palatable to a bigger audience, because I think this sound is much different than anything before that most people didn't care for. And he was still a big selling artist then. But I think I just need more time, if anything. Actually, speaking of how Nigel was saying how he doesn't like these long songs, right? Because to me personally, I think Wilshire is like the best song off that album.
Okay.
As a fan of long songs, I can say I wasn't the most pleased with DJ K Slay. He did a song called 110 Deep, where it's one song, the same beat for 40 minutes with 110 rappers.
Now, are these notable rappers?
Oh, absolutely. It's Ghostface Killer, Dave East, couple classic rappers. He actually has Low Deluxe on there. There's a couple other rappers I can't really name offhand.
So it's just a compilation of rappers on one song for 40 minutes.
Yeah, but it's like one of the tracks off some project that he just dropped.
Mm.
That's one song off of a project that he just dropped. Wow. Wow, man. Like,
yeah. and
how long is the rest of the project?
The whole project is an hour and 8 minutes.
Oh my God.
So you know where the 40 minutes were.
Yeah. 40 of the 68 minutes goes to this one song. And the album is 8 songs. Yeah. It's a I can say this though. It's a dope song.
Is that on the first? Is that the first track of the album or the last?
It's actually in the middle.
Wow. Okay. How much of the 110 verses do you remember, Spence?
Listen,
all of them.
Listen, man, I'm struggling to try to remember all the artists that were on there. I mean, it was cool though. I think you would have liked it. I don't know if. I don't think Busta Rhymes was on it. I know Rod Digger was on it. Pat Poose was on it. Corey Guns had a good verse. I was a fan of Vado. I was a fan of Vado's verse.
Who else?
You know what that shit reminds me of? Remember that shit on YouTube was a nylon cat or a neon cat?
Oh yeah.
And it just runs for 110 minutes.
I had the walk leash walk play for a solid half hour while Gary was over here. I just went upstairs and I let it play, man. That shit for a half hour. It was annoying for me and him. I had to like force myself to let it continue to play.
It's funny you say that, right? So I was actually listening to I was just thinking of Walk Leash Walk the other day, right?
Okay.
And I actually I was looking for the song because I was looking for it just popped in my head. And next thing you know, I'm looking and I press that video. And I'm like, I turn it off. After the first 30 seconds, I was like, oh, this is just a loop. Oh, I'm cutting this off. It was a whole hour-long video. I don't know how you sat through 30 minutes of it. That's torture. And it's catchy.
Well,
30 minutes.
It's catchy for 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Walk, leash, walk.
It gets old. Really fast. Really fast. Side conversation before we move on to other relatable topics, do you think that was the peak of Young Gleesh's career?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Shouts out to Young Gleesh though. You know what? Maybe one day he'll put out a hit and we'll all love it.
He used to be with Kali Uchis.
Yeah.
Like they were in a relationship and shit.
Yeah, wow. I was watching I watched the No Jumper interview where he talked about that. I was surprised. I was actually very surprised. I think he was in the relationship at that moment or just got out of it.
It's man, interesting tale. So
walk, leash, walk.
Yeah, walk, leash, walk for 30 minutes.
Yo, if someone could show me a video of them sitting through this for an hour straight, no editing, just raw footage. If you could sit through that for an hour straight, just yourself in a locked room, the podcast will give you $100, man.
No. Spence will give you $100, man.
Spend your time listening to Crimeapple instead. How about that? Crimeapple put out You Don't Fuck With Crime 2. I have been listening to it. Lau put me on to him. And I gotta say, listeners, if you like Crimeapple or if you've never heard of him, you should listen to You Don't Fuck With Crime 1 first. Then come back here and listen to You Don't Fuck With Crime 2. This album is very good.
Really?
Yes.
All right. So here's why I disagree with Nigel. The album is really good. Listeners,
okay.
It don't matter if you listen to the first one or the second one. It doesn't matter what order. He's not telling a particular story where you
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
But You Don't Fuck With Crime 2 is better than the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
agree.
you should listen to the first one first. See?
But what if they're like, hey, I don't like it?
Oh, okay. Well, they don't have to. How about that?
And
you don't fuck with crime?
I fuck with crime. Shouts out to Crimeapple. Shouts out to the whole Manteca. Shouts out to RLX. Shouts out to the one guy that was on the one song, Lord something.
It's Lord Ja Monte, if I'm not mistaken.
Shouts out to the brother. He did his thing. So I recommend anybody to give this a good listen. This is a dope project. He's actually rapping. The beats are solid as hell. Me and Nigel just picked up a pre-order of the vinyl that's on the way. So
that's dope.
That's how much we fuck with it.
I have to check it out. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I did spend a lot of the weekend watching the Soulja Boy Bow Wow thing, as well as listening to the Tyler album. So I didn't get a chance to catch it. But let me ask you this. As someone that hasn't listened to the album yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there was one song that I could lean on to be like, yo, this is like the song. If you're not going to like anything, this should be the joint that you like. What song is that?
Okay, so I think this one might be a little tricky because like my favorite song off the project is pronounced Ginkgo Balboa, and I could be mispronouncing it entirely wrong, but that's how it comes off to me when I'm initially reading it.
Right.
But I would just tell somebody, hey, listen to the first song, which is the Better Business Bureau.
I like that song a lot, man.
And just go from there. Because I feel like the whole project is cohesive. Like you can listen to the first song and it'll smoothly play through to the last song. It's like, it seems like the way he built it, the project was meant to be that way. So I would say definitely just start with the first song, man. And if you like what you hear in the first song, more than likely you'll like the rest of the project. If you don't like what you hear in the first song, there's a good chance you might not like the rest of the project.
Very strong chance.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So listen to the first song and let the first song be your judgment.
But if you don't fuck with the album, though, I gotta say, like, it's probably not your type of rap. But Lau calls it connoisseur rap. He talks his shit on here and on the first You Don't Fuck With Crime, and I think I enjoy that. I think it's like really catchy type stuff. So, I mean, I think that if you like fancy wordplay and like things like that, you'll enjoy this album.
No mumbling?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, none of that bullshit.
That's gonna be trash then.
Oh wow.
Say nah. But now I'll have to check it out. I'll check it out. I'll just like you said, I'll just start from one and just go all the way through, and I'll come back next week with an opinion then.
Oh man,
okay.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, man, that's dope. I would like to hear your opinion, like your short take on that.
All right, bet. That's a bet.
You're gonna have to give me your opinion on ASAP Ant too, because I heard that you were gonna start getting into his music.
Yeah, Loud played something for me, and I was not the biggest fan of it.
Yeah. So tell me when she said.
I said it was mid.
There you go. So
what song?
It was the new one that he came out with, the Futuristic Diamonds.
Oh no, that song's hard, man.
Yeah, I thought it was a hard song. I thought it was a hard song too, but I mean, out of Spence's ears, even though they're similar, at the same time they can be different.
Yeah, much more sophisticated. I understand. Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
Who else?
Why he likes niggas singing over guitars and pianos all the time.
Oh man, I can't believe people would like guitars and pianos instead of just regular boom bap. Okay, and samples. Oh my God.
As soon as he hears somebody actually rapping, it's mid. It's not real. It's not good. But did
you listen to 110 rappers?
You listened to 40 minutes of 110 rappers?
Yes, I listened to the whole thing.
God bless your heart. So,
let me before I say anything else. That's one thing DJ K-Slate did say at the very end of the song. If you guys don't respect him, he'll come back with 200 rappers.
Wow. Oh my God. It's gonna be the fifth song on the soundtrack. Out of 10.
out of 13. It's like, yo, you're not even halfway through this. And it's only gonna be probably like a 70-minute album. 70 minutes. 40, about 50 of them will go to 200 rappers. He did have Black Thought on there, but
shouts out Black Thought. Black Thought is nice.
Yeah, I mean Black Thought is nice though. He definitely is nice. But yeah, that joint was mid though. I mean, I got my sophisticated ears.
No, I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. Sophisticated nothing, bro. Come on.
Sophisticated ears, man. Don't get mad at me because we not listening to the same thing.
No, we listen to the same thing, nigga. We've been to
the same shows. We not listening, though.
We've been to the same rap concerts together, nigga. Like, come on.
And your bop was off. Your rhythm was off.
No,
man.
It wasn't.
You
wasn't
couldn't even catch the beat.
Yo,
man.
you stayed in the crowd like a block while everybody was moving. Right?
So my question is,
you're funny.
Is ASAP Ant underrated at the moment, especially for the area that he's coming from?
So I want to step in this first real quick. I want to say he is underrated just because like out the ASAP Mob, when they first came out in the early 2010s and shit, and they were kind of killing it, and then they started falling off like at the mid-10s. And I don't want to say falling off rudely, but like they definitely wasn't musically relevant by the time 2020 came around. So ASAP Ant, who was the most shitted on rapper out the group for that horrible verse, bath salts, just horrible. And but he started stepping it up a little bit. He started, he was doing Merino. Apparently he'd been doing the Merino infantry clothing line for a long time before rap. But when he started rapping, he was part of the mob. He started doing more and more a little bit, dropping like some mixtapes. He was rapping with like local Baltimore, New York guys, blah, blah, blah. The next year, he started getting, his buzz started getting bigger and bigger throughout the DMV, where some of like the more known DMV rappers, right, like your Gunus or Baby Ninos, Q the Fools, blah, 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 they're like fucking with him now. And
that's what's up.
And I know some DMV rap fans may disagree, but I think ASAP Ant is the best out the DMV because one, he's a better rapper than most of the rappers in the DMV, and two, he's the most recognized and he has the most credibility. Plus, he's also the most consistent out of the ASAP Mob, which is what he was known for. Because nobody in ASAP Mob is dropping music like he is. Plus, he's killing it with the clothing line. Seems like more and more people are wearing Merino infantry these days than they're doing V-Loam. And that might be because the prices are cheaper, but still. So I think he's the most underrated. Far as the best, that's just a argument to whoever really cares. But I like his music. I'm a fan of his music. Will he be bigger than what he is? I don't know, and time will tell. But I do think he's the most slept on for somebody who's been working. He's really independent. Like, he's doing everything on his own. So that's just my take.
That's dope. So it sounds, lack of better terms, he's who A$AP Rocky thought he was, essentially, right? Or thinks he is, in terms of like fashion and consistency with music. Not necessarily saying talent-wise, but just saying.
Far as the quantity and the production, I would say yes. A$AP Rocky's still the better rapper.
Okay.
Without question, he's still the better rapper. A$AP Rocky, me and Nigel was saying this the other day, the guy can really rap his ass off when he puts his heart and mind to it. And when he's doing the half-ass shit, that's when you have stuff like Testing. So I feel like that far as like work ethic goes, A$AP is the guy.
Right.
He's the guy. Whether you think his music is mid or like, oh, it could be better, whatever. He's working really hard. Far as quality and shit goes, if A$AP Rocky really wants to try, he'll out-rap A$AP Ant. But right now, A$AP Ant is, to me, shining harder than Rocky. I mean, Rocky's forever going to be the more popular act between the two. But as far as working harder in the sense of music, Ant is the guy.
Yeah, I can respect that.
At first, I enjoyed his music a little bit, but like I'm getting more into his music, and I actually like A$AP Ant. You know, like he can actually rap to a certain degree, and like not only that, his music just has an overall sound that is good. You know, and I think that's really what he's good at as far as like, you know, the production he's rapping on and stuff like that, the way he sounds when he's actually rapping his beats and whatnot. Like I fuck with his little movement he got going on. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm actually more excited for the A$AP Rocky album that is supposedly coming than I was before. Only because I was listening to some of his music earlier and I was just like, you know, like I wasn't the biggest fan of his last album, but I think that because of his music making ability, he's not going to be too far off from making a good sounding album again.
So do you think he's going to make a song this in that club?
Say it again.
Do you think he's going to make
the shit with Rihanna?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear about it. What happened?
So Rihanna, we didn't even put this up here, but A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, you know they date each other. Okay. So they go to a club and the bouncer won't let them in because they don't have their ID. Come on. And I guess they're trying to tell. I think they end up getting turned away.
Come on.
Yeah, they get turned away.
Yeah.
So
that guy's fired.
Hey,
absolutely.
Hey, shouts out.
Fired.
I want to say before we get into that part, I want to say shouts out to A$AP Ant and the whole Marino Infantry.
Definitely.
You know, Nigel, Big Cozy, Too Cozy, we fucking with the movement. I don't know about Spence, but we two out of three fucks with the movement.
I gotta see if he's the real voice of the mid. So
the real voice of the mid. Damn,
that's not. I can tell he's not.
Yo, you sound bitter.
Do I?
You sound bitter. You had to bring back a
what
old
you mean?
phrase.
What you mean? It's a catchy phrase. Did I not say
he's the real voice? How is he the real voice of the mid? Off of what song?
Did I not say the song sounded mid?
One song you said
yes or no? So yeah, I gotta be like Kevin Samuels now. Yes or no?
Oh wow.
Yes. Okay, you said the song sounded
all right,
mid.
So now with that being concluded.
So how does that equate to him being okay?
He could be the voice of the mid. I don't know. If the only song I heard from him sounds mid to me, and I think you probably played him before, and it wasn't anything that personally was my preference. I mean, it sounded like he 10 for 10.
10 for 10 for mid, yeah.
From what I've heard so far. Now I could be from what I've heard.
Yo, the suspense for you, bro.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
He loves waving the motherfucking flag for people he likes, for people who he doesn't have a lot of interest in. they're mid. They're
isn't that
not
the
all
same?
that. My ears are too sophisticated. My ears are super sophisticated. What do you mean? No, I'm a realist, and I'm pretty honest.
So am
I. You like to hate for people you don't care for. He's the real voice of the mid.
My opinion. So you're telling me my opinion is not opinion, it's hate.
What?
It's complex.
It's very simple, man. My opinion. You're telling me my opinion is not an opinion and that it's hate.
Oh, okay.
No, your opinion is an opinion.
Right.
But in my opinion, your opinion comes off as hate. It's in a resentful, in a very sinful way because you sound very
he done to me?
Because you sound very envious.
Nah, G. Listen, man. Like I said, anything I've listened to, anything you played around me, I haven't been the most excited about it.
You said this is the first song. So what other songs have I played? You
played them. So when we've been at Nigel house, you haven't turned on eight. What's his name? ASAP Ant.
So you don't know his name now.
See what I'm saying?
No.
Completely forgot his name.
No.
What's his name?
You called him ASAP Yachty earlier. That's what I was about to call him.
YG Addy.
YG Addy. Oh. That's a legitimate nickname that he gives himself.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh.
Okay. Jesus.
Hey, according to Spence, he's the real voice of the mid. So
no, I said I will determine if he is.
Okay.
You automatically gave someone the voice of the mid because you don't care for the music.
I'm talking about the project.
The artist. You didn't. But you don't care about the project. But nonetheless.
So let's get. Since you want to have the last word, it means so much to you.
Yeah, I just said carry on.
Podcast can't move on without him having the last word. So. Quickly back to the Rihanna and A$AP Rocky thing. So here's where I agree with the bouncer. What if the bouncer did not know who A$AP Rocky and Rihanna is? There is people I know it might be like shocking, all that bullshit. There's people that don't know every celebrity, right?
Okay.
So like we might not know some of the most popping pop stars. I definitely don't. Outside of like Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, but. So let's say somebody doesn't know Rihanna or whatever, right? He might be like, hey, you might be an imposter or you might be saying something that you are that I don't know that you are. And then he might be as that, right? That's just in defense of him. Where he fucked up is A$AP Rocky might not be on the level of stardom and popularity as Rihanna. Rihanna is pretty fucking popular. So if this guy who works a nightclub in New York, when there's a lot of popular people and mainstream people around, doesn't know who Rihanna is, I wouldn't be entirely upset if the owner not necessarily fires him, but it's kind of like, yo, you fucked up.
He's getting fired.
Yeah, he's getting fired, man. And you're right. Like, he didn't necessarily do the wrong thing. Maybe he was just ignorant to who they were. And it is possible, highly unlikely, but it is possible. And it's like, hey, I don't know you guys. This is a safety thing. You guys have to stay out of there. And in that case, I can understand. I get it. But it's just like, damn.
There's a theory. I'm not going to share it here, but there is a theory as to why they got, as to like the whole thing behind it. But, and listen, there's so many, sometimes with theories, you can never dispute what's right, what's fact or fiction, or if a theory is right or wrong. But I will say this, he's fired. I'm quite sure he lost his job. And I'm quite sure there have been instances where people have came there and he'd never seen them before. He probably allowed them in. So without their ID. So
that's a fair
assessment.
Yes, because that's pretty true. You know what I mean? So he probably let some girl that he probably thought was attractive at one point and like, yeah, it's all good. This one's on me type shit. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, there's so many theories out there, but I can say this though. Outside of that whole situation, those theories, I know there was a very interesting trailer that I recently saw. I shared it with you guys right before we recorded. For the listeners listening, there's a movie coming out on BET called Karen, which I should actually just pull up. I'm not even gonna pull it up in terms of like the summary, but long story short, my understanding from the trailer is a black couple moves into a new neighborhood, and apparently they have a neighbor that's an older white woman named Karen, who, from what the character says in the movie, she doesn't care for people that look like them. And in the movie, in so many words, is about that. But the way the movie looks in the trailer is a little bit more, is not as favorable as what the plot line may sound like to some of the listeners. As people that have watched it, what do you guys think?
All right, so this thing is sitting at thousands upon thousands of dislikes, and I'm not going to get into the racial thing and all that, because I know that once you see the trailer and you look at the YouTube comments, that it's a battle. It's a battle between the people.
Yeah.
What I will say, far as the movie itself, it looks fucking corny. It looks like a movie that's pandering to negative situations, which I don't like, because you're now making money off of bullshit. Like, it's like a trending thing. You know what I mean? And I think that the movie, I think the message that it will send will definitely be interpreted in a negative way. You're going to have some people that's going to be like, oh yeah, this looks good because this is a portrayal of real life. Or you're going to have some people be like, hey, there is definitely some bad apples, but this is not like how this is not what it's like in the real world all the time. So I think that this movie sucks. Soon as Spence said, "Oh, it's a BT original," I knew it wasn't going to be good, because a lot of their fucking original movies aren't good. I'm not saying all of them, because there's some that, like the new edition movies or limited series, whatever. I thought that was pretty good,
Right?
But majority of the BT originals are not good movies. And if you think there are, listeners, I dare you to name 10 good ones. And I guarantee you, even with Google and Wikipedia, you can't find 10 good ones. So that's my take on it. Trash ass movie.
I wonder. Well, I feel like they're gonna go like really hardcore on the corniness of the movie, and it's probably gonna be like, it's either just gonna be extremely corny or they're gonna try and make it some type of satire. But like, I feel like there's a thin line between something being like corny and trash and something being smart and satirical. And like, I think they're probably gonna go on the corny side. But that being said, I'm kind of curious to see it and see if they can actually pull it off, because I don't think they can.
I mean, when you take that stance on it, I mean, it's possible. They have, I mean, it looks like they have like they have comedians in here.
They do.
And I think even the actress that plays Karen is a comedian as well. So I mean, there is a possibility, but I don't see it happening.
Yo, but check this out. Did anything in that trailer make you laugh because it was fucking funny, or did you? Or okay, if you laughed while watching the trailer because you're kind of like, I can't believe somebody put this together. It wasn't because like, oh man, you know what, this looks funny, let me show my family. So like this, it doesn't look like a movie where it's going to be like, hey, this is dark humor or this is out. No, it looks fucked up. It looks like, hey, this is such and such couple moving to a home, angry ass lady, she don't like their kind, so she's causing hell and ruckus. And I feel like that's fucking not meant to be a funny thing.
So my thing is they in the trailer you would think it's a horror movie, and if they do it like a horror movie, that shit's gonna be trash. Like I already know it is. It's just gonna be like some weird bullshit drama or something like that because it's not gonna be horror. And if their best choice or option would be to make it some type of satire, because I feel like that's the only way you can really truly make it entertaining.
They're not gonna. But that's not the direction of the movie, man. And let's say it does do that, it'd be like, wow, what a misleading trailer.
Exactly.
You know, like so. It's. I don't know. 2 thumbs down for that movie. It doesn't look good. But hey, listeners or people in the YouTube comments, if you want to watch that, God bless you.
Yeah, I mean, it's to each his own. I mean, if you watch it, best of luck to you. I think at this point, I think it's more about how this is just nothing more than like I think the Get Out effect is just kind of like trickling itself down at this point. I mean, the reality is a lot of these. Actually, we just had a series on Amazon come out called Them. That was about this, and I wasn't a fan of that series either for similar reasons. Yeah, so I think this is just kind of like a trickle down of like what Get Out has already been. I wouldn't be surprised if you remember how like in like the last decade we saw like there was nothing but slave movies.
Yep.
I think this is going to be like that, but for the 20s.
So here, so. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised. I got to side with Spence here because there's been a couple movies with the whole Get Out formula already. Here's my problem. Why is it every time we have Black-led movies, majority of them is Black people going through some type of fucking turmoil? Why can it not be the movies that we see at the fucking Oscars or the movies that people go crazy for in the theaters, like the Marvel movie? Why can it not be that? It always had to be something like Karen, 12 Years a Slave, a nigga struggling in the hood, and he's like, can we move past that? Why can't this is why I like watching movies with The Rock and Denzel Washington and shit like that, because they're not, everything's not turmoil for Black people. You know, it's like, hey, we are strong Black actors and we're doing movies that people want to see us, and it's not about the downfall of our people. Like, I'm just like, why is that a thing, man?
Hollywood shuffle, man.
I don't like it. Like, I can understand if you have one movie here, one movie there, and the time span has been years. It's like every year we get 2 or 3 of these kind of fucking movies, man. I don't get that shit.
Listen, man, there's a conversation that could be had about that, but I will say this: anybody that's listening, and you include Lau, just watch Hollywood Shuffle. That's all it is. That's all this is. Like, I mean, no matter what, there's always going to be someone willing to take that spot in terms of like those roles. I personally, I feel as though like shows like Blackish should be what movies should be about. Like, oh, a kid comes from like a cool middle class home, has some adversity, but it's not like going to jail. It's not like being a slave. It's just, oh, you know, he was failing. He was having a hard time graduating college or graduating high school, not because of like violence or drugs. It's just, oh, you know, I was just having a hard time. Like, oh, family, maybe family might be the turmoil, but it might not be like, oh, like better yet, perfect example, 50 Cent. 50 Cent is the perfect example of this. So listeners, you may not have heard, and I'll move past this pretty fast because I don't want to spend too much time on it, but 50 Cent did a movie about 10 years ago. I forget the name of it, where he lost like 80 pounds to play a cancer patient. And he literally looked like he was shriveling up on his bed, right? No awards, no nothing. And it was based on a true story with a friend of his. Tom Hanks does a movie somewhat similar. Oscars, nominees, Golden Globes, all of those. So I'm gonna just leave that where that sits, and I'll let people decipher what they want from that. But it's just another example of when those type of roles are trying to be promoted, or those type of films are trying to be promoted. These are the things that happen. I mean, Kevin Hart even talked about certain things in terms of when he was trying to be a global actor, and they told him no because certain people he won't fit a certain demographic because of his race, is what he was told by the industry at one point. So, I mean, it's one of those things, man. I agree. I think there should be more like just regular movies about, hey, a brother graduates school and he has a dog and he wants to write articles in a journal. Owen Wilson did a movie like that with him and his dog, and I think he got like some award for it. So, but
yeah, man, I'm just tired of it. The Medea movies, I don't hate them like some people hate them. I'm like, look, I know, people like Kevin Samuels, he doesn't enjoy them, and we can dissect why. But like, I'm just saying, like, hey, they're not turmoil of ruining Black people. It's their Kevin Samuels doesn't like them, and we could dissect why. But if you're not thinking that deeply of it, surface level, they're not that bad. They're not bad movies like that. I'm not saying they're great movies. I'm saying they're not that bad of movies.
I'll save my opinion for after the show.
Yeah, let's jump into that later.
I'll save my opinion for after the show. So the BET Awards, being that we've been speaking about BET Awards had just passed. There was an announcement on the show where Cardi B let us know that her and Offset are expecting their second child. And I believe she revealed it during her performance, which was pretty interesting. I think it was pretty dope for her to come out that way, especially I'm quite sure there's an album coming, which probably just makes it 10 times better for her.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to watch the awards or at least see who won?
No, I didn't watch that shit. Shouts out to Cardi B and shouts out to Offset. Honestly, man, they look like they're going to be staying strong after the little hiccup they had last year. Congratulations. And I wouldn't be surprised if more music comes out of Cardi B from this and use it as like a way to help promote the album, or she'll do music videos where her pregnancy. I'm not saying her pregnancy is a tactic to get more album sales or nothing, but
right.
But when she was pregnant last time, she was doing music videos and shit for the Invasion of Privacy album. So
yeah.
So shouts out to her, shouts out to Offset, shouts out to the winners of the BET Awards. Why don't you gentlemen run down who won?
Go ahead, Spence.
So for best album is actually Jasmine Sullivan with Hotels.
Congratulations.
Female R&B / pop artist was her, who just actually had an album come out, I believe, about 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Best male R&B / pop artist was Chris Brown, which
he put out an album when?
I mean, it's not asking for an album. He's probably been featured on enough music.
Shouts out to him.
Hey, this is the shit that I was talking about. But shouts out to Chris Brown.
This should actually make you hot. Best new artist, Giveon.
Shouts out to him.
I'm surprised that didn't make you hot.
No, I mean it was a Jack Harlow.
I mean, but his big single came out in February of last year. That's why.
Hey man, I after doing that episode last week, I realized hey, me being upset about the BET Awards is me having a conversation with a brick wall. So it's not gonna change. Nothing's gonna happen. It's either you accept it or you move on. So
yeah, true. Best female hip hop artist, Meg Thee Stallion won, which I think we all saw that happen.
Good choice.
Yeah, I was good. I'll say that's a good choice though.
Yeah,
it's not like oh my God, what a catastrophe.
Nah, that's a fact. Best male hip hop artist. We all should know this. Lil Baby. He won. He was a winner.
I think it's the right choice. So,
and I just got a couple more I want to read off out of all the nominations that happened. The best group. So before I say who the winner is, I just want to go through who was nominated.
All right.
21 Savage and Metro Boomin. Chloe and Haley.
Shout out to them.
Chris Brown and Young Thug. City Girls. Migos and Silk Sonic.
So shouts out to the actual groups that was nominated. The other makeshift non-groups, and there's other groups you could choose from. See, this is what I'm talking about with the BET Awards. Who won?
Yeah.
So the winner of this was actually Silk Sonic.
Okay, so shouts out to Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
I hope they dropped their album because that.
I don't believe they did they?
No, they never did.
So how do you become the?
Hey, remember last year? I mean, not last year, last week. Remember what I was saying about? Hey, how did the Migos win last year's awards?
That in this situation, I can agree with this in particular thing. I can agree with
this with these awards. This happens more times than it doesn't. So
you got a few actual groups in this category that actually put out music, that actually put out some albums that did not win.
Well, hey, here's the funny thing. The Migos won last year, and they put out maybe one song that nobody really cared or listened to. They put out Culture 3, which was one of the best-selling rap albums of the year. They're nominated, and they didn't win. And they lost to a group who put out one single
earlier this year, I think.
A couple months ago.
Yeah. A couple months ago. And now shouts out to Silk Sonic. I like both of those gentlemen. I'm looking forward to the album. But see what I'm saying, man? The shit is inconsistent as fuck. So
yeah. Nah, to me, I'm just lost at how that worked because they pushed back the album. They pushed back that album like numerous times. And we still haven't gotten it. So it's
single's popular, man.
Yo, look, clearly
the single's good. It's a good ass single. It's just that
not for this award. Not for the competition they're going over. To be honest with you, it wasn't until just the other day I was watching something that made me I don't necessarily feel as though Metro Boomin and 21 Savage would be considered a group.
They're not.
Exactly.
They're not.
But so like we said, like we don't know how Silk Sonic won, but they were the winner. Two other awards that I thought were interesting, being that we cover different areas outside of music. So Sportsman of the Year. I mean, we all know who probably won this was LeBron James.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. But so there was a Sportswoman of the Year, which I thought was interesting, which was Naomi Osaka. But
she I think out of all the sisters, I can't think of another sister who's been killing it like her, except for the lady does gymnastics. Simone Biles.
She should have won.
But
it probably gonna be Sha'Carri next year, for real.
I'm not familiar with that person. Maybe you have to describe who is that the one that just ran?
The fastest woman in the world.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on how she does on the Olympics, but Simone is like a phenom.
No, Simone is a phenom. She's probably the greatest at what she does.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. Naomi has been winning some big tournaments this year. And I'm not saying Simone she's a phenom. We get that. Naomi has actually been winning tournaments. That's what I'm saying. That's like giving LeBron James, hey, we're just going to give LeBron James Athlete of the Year when KD has been putting up the better numbers and he actually won the championship.
Simone's been making her own moves. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I get where Lyle's coming from when it comes to like Naomi Osaka. The only reason I say that is because like she is like considered the it person, right? Like she even walked away from the tournament that they're having because of some other stuff. But like even with Naomi Osaka, like she's beat the legends. Like she plays like she's, and don't get me wrong, Simone Biles, I think Simone Biles is probably where like the legends of the time in like tennis, like in the case of Naomi Osaka, right? Like she's beating Venus and Serena. She's beating Serena, right? Who is the legend, the GOAT of the sport. And I'm quite sure eventually that conversation will happen when Simone Biles is on her probably 5th Olympic trial, and there's like some young black girl that's like, yo, she may beat Simone Biles. Well, you know what I'm saying?
The issue I have with what you're saying is because Simone, what she does, the biggest stage for Simone Biles is the Olympics, which only comes every 4 years. Not everybody in every sport has the opportunity to go against the greatest or the last great in their sport. That I think that isn't necessarily the best way to compare them. I think Simone Biles is changing her sport. You know what I mean? She's changing moves in her sport. Like that's a different level of greatness.
Right, but well, then that kind of reflects back to way back early podcast episodes to the conversation of Floyd winning the best male athlete over LeBron, or best male athlete of the decade over LeBron James. And we all agreed, hey, LeBron should win it because LeBron James is actually winning and he's doing stuff on a more consistent basis. While what Floyd has done is similar to Simone Biles. Floyd is arguably the greatest. Floyd has changed the game of boxing, but look, not only from a competition standpoint, from a business standpoint. He's part of the reason why boxing is the sham and scam that it is today. So
that's Bob Arum. But go ahead.
No, Bob Arum, he gets a lot of credit too. You know what I'm saying? In a negative way, he gets a lot of credit. But Floyd, you know, he has a great business acumen. Let me just say that. So, absolutely. But if you're willing to give it to LeBron James, why would you not be willing to give it to Naomi Osaka, who's, like Spence said, she's beating the legends of the sport. She's beating the top dogs across the world.
The difference between Simone Biles and Floyd Mayweather in that specific situation is we're talking about a Floyd who is going around beating up Conor McGregor in comparison to somebody who is like at the peak of their sport right now.
Nah. In the last decade, you can't say that for Floyd.
I'm not saying Floyd, because I'm saying we're talking about athlete of the decade. Because if we're talking about that, then that's really unfair because we're talking about like a whole body of work between 10 years.
No, but when I'm saying that is because we're referring to that as the reference to this conversation, and in that conversation, when you're talking about that award, when we're talking about that award at that time, Floyd, yes, he fought Conor, but that whole decade he had fought.
But we're talking about this year. We're talking about athlete of the year, 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's cool.
But what I'm saying is if she's doing it at the peak right now, at this moment, wouldn't that put her, if she is the best at her sport, period.
Like Naomi Osaka is as well, right?
Okay, but you're saying that because she's beating people, and I said that's not a fair thing to compare them to, like, because it's not, their sports are different in that way. I don't think that's a fair thing to weigh that on.
I'm not understanding that then.
Spence said she's beating the best people in her sport like Serena Williams. I said Simone Biles doesn't necessarily have the chance to do that because the biggest stage she performs on is every 4 years.
Okay.
But she's still competing even in between that, though. She's still competing as we speak.
And she's winning.
Yeah.
And she's winning and beating everybody. So what's the difference?
Right. So
she's changing her sport.
But the difference is Naomi is beating credible, proven champions.
You're talking about Serena Williams, right?
No, not just Serena Williams. Other women, top dogs that you probably can't even pronounce their names because they're that much of a superstar. That won the Wimbledons, the French U.S. Opens, blah, blah, blah. So when I'm not the French Opens and the U.S. Open. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm not saying Simone Biles, I'm not discrediting her at all. But when you're putting her and Naomi, you got to go with the person who has the better record on paper. And yes, Simone is winning and she's killing it and she's changing the sport. But I'm looking at, okay, look who Naomi is competing against and look at who Simone is competing against. Simone is competing against herself in a sense. How can Simone Biles outdo herself to continue the sport? While Naomi, she's not bigger than the sport of tennis, but she's beating the biggest people in tennis. To me, that's an accomplishment of her own. I think that's a phenomenal accomplishment, man. That's crazy. You might be the best in this sport, and no one is going to hold a fucking candle to you. But you have somebody who's, when they first came in, they didn't look like the best, but they start beating all the best, and they're taking the titles. How can you ever discredit somebody like that?
I'm not discrediting her. I'm just saying that Simone Biles has won multiple gold medals on the biggest sports stage ever. She's changing the sport at this moment. I understand what y'all saying. I'm not saying that Naomi Osaka isn't the shit, because she is. Credit to her. I just disagree. I think we might have to agree to disagree on this one, because I just don't agree with you.
That's cool. I mean, I think there's one person that we can all agree on, though, that is not a great player, is Ben Simmons.
So, we got to run through this motherfucker quick.
Well, just go ahead.
Ben Simmons, unfortunately for Philly fans, he will be there for the next 4 years because of the contract.
Okay, they have to find a way to get rid of him.
He has a 9-figure contract for the next 4 years. I don't see any owner going to take that one on the chin. We're not talking about, he got, 10 million left. No, he has hundreds of $1 million left on his contract. I can't see an owner taking that one on the chin. So unfortunately, Philly fans, you will be stuck with him. Now, does that mean he's going to start? I don't know. Maybe they'll be like, hey, Ben, you can't start until you prove yourself. I don't think that's going to happen, of course, because they're paying the guy too much fucking money. But unfortunately, Philly fans get, unless they can figure out a trade, which, once again, if I was a team, I want to be looking to take on $100 million contract from Ben Simmons. He's not really the prized possession right now. So, but let's not discredit the actual teams that are still in. Listeners, looks like the Suns may put away the Clippers soon. Currently as we're recording, the lead is 3-1 in the series. The Bucks won again. Series currently for them is 2-1. They might put the Hawks away in 5 games, or they'll put the Hawks away 6 games. This is just during the recording. My prediction for the finals is Suns, Bucks, and I got the Suns going over the Bucks. And what do you guys think?
Man, the Bucks are going to take it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over by the time we get done. When we put this out for the listeners and whatnot. It's not looking good for the Hawks, and it looks like I don't know, Trae Young. Shouts out to him, but it's not happening.
Yeah, put the man on ice, man. I'm same here. I'm going Bucks, Suns at this point. So, I think by the time this broadcast comes out, there'll probably be Bucks, Suns for the finals. And at this point, who do you have? If that ends up being the finals, who do you guys have? Just
Suns.
Early prediction.
Suns. I got the Suns.
Yeah, no, the Suns, maybe not in 4 this time, but I'll take it in 5 or 6. It's not going all 7.
Not to debate about it, because obviously, we have to wait to see who's actually going to be in the finals. But what I will say is, if the Suns do play the Bucks, whoever wins, even though I'm going for the Suns, I think that will be at least 6 games. We're talking about these teams; they're tough.
Right.
They're teams not to fuck with, as you can see in their respective series. They're not teams not to fuck with. And Giannis right now, him and Chris Middleton, they're balling hard as a motherfucker right now.
They're not trying to go home.
No, they're tired of being embarrassed.
So something was announced earlier tonight before we started recording the podcast. There is a new fight announced for the heavyweight title. Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis after beating Alexander Volkov at the UFC Fight Night that just recently happened. They are now setting up an interim heavyweight title. What do you guys make of this?
So what's up with what's the deal with Francis?
What's up with him? I don't know. It's a good question.
So as we're talking about this, I'm actually seeing that Francis Ngannou and Dana White's agent, they're actually in a heated exchange on social media about this interim heavyweight title. Really? Now I'm not I can't read everything because it's actually a long message from Francis' agent, and Dana White says an expletive. So here's it sounds like more or less Dana couldn't strong arm Francis into something. So Dana, hey, if you don't want to play my ball, fuck you. And this is how it's going to run because it's his show at the end of the day. Now, I think next week we can divulge and break this down more. But since we've already done a whole show, for the sake of time, I will say the reason why this fight has been made seems like a behind-the-scenes issue between Francis' team and Dana White.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm like reading through some of this stuff now. I think by the time the next episode comes out, there'll be a lot more to unpack from this. But it does sound like there's something that happened behind closed doors. And of course, as we know who Dana White is, like you said, it's his show. This show doesn't stop for one person. So
except for Conor.
I mean, that train's running dry almost just about.
If Dustin knocks him out again, which he very well can, the train is over. Yes. Dana White will be like, hey, Conor, we had a great run. It was like Hulkamania in the 80s. It's over. So, but
Conor DS3, man.
Until that happens, Dana would do anything in his power for Conor because Conor is the cash cow. So my quick take on this, I don't like this interim title fight. Now, if you want to do Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane or Gane, please forgive me if I mispronounced the gentleman's last name. Because Derrick Lewis is not ready to, I'm not Derrick Lewis. Francis is not ready to fight yet. Then I understand that. Hey, we do a title eliminator bout between the top two guys under Francis and Stipe. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. But when you throw in an interim belt, Francis is not injured. He just won the belt about 3 to 4 months ago. It's like, okay, there's some back behind the scenes shit going on.
Yeah.
Because Francis seems well and able, he could defend the title. If he's not ready for August for whatever reason, that's fine. But it wasn't like he was out for an entire year. It wasn't like the motherfucker's he's turning down all the fights. Francis wants John. He couldn't get John, so they were going to give him Derrick. He didn't come out publicly to turn down Derrick or nothing like that. Derrick never came out and said Francis turned him down. So I don't know. I don't like this interim title fight. I think this goes back to the thing of the UFC doing too many interim belts. And it's like gives me vibes of boxing. Like, remember when Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson fought for a belt?
Yep.
The interim belt. And then later on that year, Justin, he gets washed by Khabib. The interim title is a fucking joke, man. It's only good when a champion is injured and the champion is going to be out for a long period of time. But Francis just won a belt this year, man.
3 months ago.
Yeah, he just won a belt this year. He's not injured. He just won a fucking belt. So you doing this it comes off as like, okay, somebody, and I don't know who, and we'll find out probably by next week. We'll be able to talk more about it. Somebody wasn't playing ball, and this is Dana's retaliation of like, hey, it don't matter what goes on. At the end of the day, I make the fucking rules. So, shouts out to Derrick Lewis and Ciryl Gane.
At this point, this would just be something for Derrick Lewis to stay active, 1, and 2. It would just they probably figured if they give him an interim belt, it'd give him a reason to actually be willing to risk what he has on the line. Because I mean, if he were to fight Ciryl Gane for nothing, it would be for no benefit for Derrick Lewis. I agree that the interim belt shouldn't be used in this case because, like you said, there's nothing wrong here when Francis just won the belt. He just won his fight. He won the belt 3 months ago, like I said. So it makes no sense. But from skimming through some of the conversation that his manager was having with Dana, he definitely said that they did agree to apparently they agreed to September. And I don't know what this means, but he did say something about, I told you why Francis couldn't do any time earlier, and you know that. So I don't know what that means. That's all. It's very ambiguous of a statement to really pinpoint what exactly that means. But I'm quite sure more will come out about this. I think I don't know. I think at the end of the day, and that is one of the beauties of the UFC. Unfortunately, this situation happened. But one of the beauties of the UFC compared to boxing is that the show will continue to go on. And pretty much this will probably more likely, Dana probably figures this will put a tight squeeze on Francis for real. Because at the end of the day, if you have a healthy champion and you have a healthy interim champion and they won't fight each other for some of reasons behind closed doors that has nothing to do with the interim champion, more than likely Francis won't have the belt that long. If this lasts too much longer.
I think I see where you're heading at, and this might be a strong arm tactic from Dana to be like, hey, Francis, you fight who I want you to fucking fight, or I'm just going to crown a new champion.
Exactly.
And I feel like if he strips Francis for the belt for any reason, as long as Francis is not ducking, and it sounds like right now that he is not ducking, he's just asking to fight in September instead of August, which is what, 1 fucking month from a guy who just won the belt 3 months ago. But okay, if they strong arm Francis or strip him, I just think like, hey, it's going to be very alarming. And I think a lot of people should open their fucking eyes like, hey, this situation is wrong.
Yeah, no, if this situation happened, I think that it shows like, hey, they're doing this just because they don't feel like, I think that will be the biggest indicator of this money issue. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I don't think it's necessarily all about money, but that there's no way in hell that Francis Ngannou should be stripped of the belt. He's not injured. He's ready to fight. It doesn't seem like they should do this. If they do it, then essentially like they're saying, hey, whatever you're asking for is too much, or we just don't feel like paying you. Whether it's about John or not, it doesn't seem like he's trying to turn down a fight forever. So there should be no reason why this is so difficult. You know what I mean? I don't think he's asking for Conor money either.
No, I don't think so neither. But Ariel Helwani said something today about this incident. He was like, Francis Ngannou only had one fight from like 2019 to 2020 that lasted 20 seconds. That's when he brutally knocked out Rosenstrike. When he collapsed his body and shit. And Francis was calling for an interim title fight because nobody knew when Stipe was going to be ready. At the time, Stipe still haven't fought. He didn't fight until like 6-7 months later when he got knocked out by Francis. So I look at it as like, if you couldn't give him an interim title fight for that, but you make an interim title fight for Derrick Lewis and Ciryl Gane and Gane, then I think like there is some strong arm politics going on that we don't know because we're not in the rooms when they're discussing these fights and the contract negotiations. But on the outside looking in, something fishy is going on and something does not make sense. And of course, the UFC broadcasts and publicly, they're not going to talk about it. But the fans who follow the sport, that tunes in to what goes on with these fighters outside of the cage, we know like, hey, something is going on and something fishy, something smells.
I agree with everything that we're saying. And I just playing devil's advocate here, right? From the conversations that we've had before when it comes to boxing, do you feel as though if this is a strong arm tactic by Dana, should this be something that we should applaud to some degree just because of how we know? And granted, it's a little different because of boxing with divisions, but in the terms of with boxing where we don't get the fights we want because fighters hold out for whatever reason, or there's too much negotiation going on and behind the scenes that eventually we get the fight we want, it doesn't come until later.
Good question, by the way. I think that was a really good question.
It is. I think without getting too far into it, I think if it's about, it really depends on what the reasoning is. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these UFC fighters, I'll speak for UFC because since we're talking about it, they do deserve to get paid more money. So I can't necessarily fault Francis or John for asking for more money. Now, I don't think that's the full story. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's necessarily right to strong arm anybody into any situation, but at the same time, this is business at the end of the day, and they have a business to run. So if it's about a couple months, something's up. This just isn't right. You know what I mean? It seems like it's a little bit deeper than what we know right now.
Yeah, I think we should applaud Dana, but in this situation, we shouldn't. Why we should applaud Dana overall, generally speaking, is, hey, he's going to force people to fight. You're the champion. We're going to force you to fucking fight. Yes, there's some exceptions like Conor, Habib, blah, blah, blah. But 9 times out of 10, the best is fighting the best in the UFC, or I should say 8 times out of 10.
Yeah.
8 times out of 10. The best is fighting the best in UFC. While boxing, the elite guys, the corruption is so fucking high where it's starting to poison the boxers itself. Hey, I'm not fighting unless I'm the A side. I'm making $20 million. Well, I'm not fighting. If he's making $20 million, I need to make $40 million. Hey, I'm not fighting because I deserve 100. That's why these fights don't happen like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, because it's bullshit about money.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence won't fight. It's not because they're not able to, because they got corrupted mandatories. There's Terrence needs to leave. Top rank. But that's the problem, because there's no the money isn't right. While the UFC, money is an issue, but the UFC has such a control of their fighters where like, hey, you can't negotiate fucking money like that unless you are Conor or John Jones, you know, because they can have conversations about money. But like, so to answer your question, he should be applauded, but for this particular situation, no.
Gotcha.
Because this seems like a strong arm tactic that's going on right now.
Yeah, I think, and I agree. I agree where, like, when it comes to the whole pay and fighters knowing their value, I mean, we're seeing it to a point where, like as we see now, like Tyrone Woodley saying, like, yo, I'm getting the most money I've ever gotten for a fight to fight some kid off YouTube. And at the same time, while that's happening, you have someone like Claressa Shields that we don't even know when she's going to return to boxing, because after her first MMA win, she's now chose to say, hey, I'm going to fight again and then I think she has another fight August 27th. Yeah, she has her next fight in MMA, which her being the GOAT in female boxing and women's boxing, she's choosing to go the MMA route because of the pay. So I guess it's opposites in sports, but it's kind of like the deviation is somewhat the same. I think it's something that I think not Conor, but Dana should look out for. Definitely when we look at someone like Claressa Shields, like fighters choosing like, yo, I can switch over to another sport and make more money because of who I am. So,
yeah, shout out to Claressa. I remember our conversation about like the concern is like, hey, she's going to do boxing and then go to MMA, which might stunt her growth because she might not be able to focus on the ground game,
right?
The grappling, the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu as much as she needs to when she starts fighting stiffer competition when it comes to grappling. So shouts out to her for sticking with MMA, and hopefully she continues to work on her game. And I think the reason why Claressa did hop over, I think initially it was to bait Amanda Nunes. But once Amanda Nunes didn't bite the bait because she was like, hey, look, I'm only going to fight her if she comes to me. I think Claressa started taking another route saying like, hey, I get more recognition in MMA than I ever did in boxing. And she's right. And it's unfortunate for her boxing career, her pedigree over there, like, because she has all the championships and accolades a woman can get that any boxer, man or woman, could dream of, but she's not getting recognized.
Yeah.
She's not getting recognized at all. But it's crazy how she goes over to MMA and everybody's talking about her. The MMA community is showing her mad love, mad respect. So
and she's winning. That's
and she won her last fight, and hopefully she can win the next fight if she improves her game. So I'm not mad at Claressa for doing this. She's going about this the right way, in my opinion. And we'll see if she could become successful again.
Yeah. Funny enough, actually, when I was talking about the Sportswoman of the Year, she was actually a nominee too. So I mean, who knows? Maybe this new path may get her that title. Oh, because it's to some extent, because I understand with the PFL, it's like it's a season. It's more like a structure type of sport. So
yeah.
Does she fight in that season though? Is she like actually in the season competing?
I'm not sure.
No, she's not competing in the season, and she did an interview earlier. I can't remember who she did it with, but she stated like, for her first set of fights, she just wants to get in there and actually do it. But she does eventually plan to join a season in the PFL. When will that happen? I don't know, but right now they're kind of like special attraction fights. Like, hey, headlining Claressa Shields.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for right now, that's probably a smarter move for her to do. So she's not too committed in terms of like, hey, if this, let's say she has a next fight and it's not a good turnout.
Yeah.
She can at least say, well, hey, I did it. I did better than CM Punk did when he fought.
Yeah.
And I called it, and I rode off into the sunset. Like, oh man, I don't know whatever happened to him, but free that guy wherever he is.
Wow.
He's still under UFC contract.
Really?
Still under UFC contract.
Jeez.
I don't. No, absolutely not. I don't.
Him versus Conor retirement fight.
Oh my God, Conor will knock him dead. I'm dead clean out. But I think I don't see CM Punk ever fighting again, man. And honestly, he will probably go back to wrestling before he takes another fight with the UFC.
Maybe he'll go to boxing next.
Jesus, come on.
Come on, man.
Everybody else is fighting.
Listen, man, Anderson Silva is one of the few people that can pull that off.
Yeah.
I know Lomachenko, he ended up pulling something off over the weekend against Nakatani. I think it was a TKO in the 9th round.
Yeah, many beat him.
Yeah. But Lomachenko is Lomachenko at the end of the day. From the highlights that I watched of the fight, Lomachenko looked like someone that probably wish he would have gotten a rematch. He probably wish he had a rematch clause in his contracts. So he's fighting like that now. So I'm kind of happy to see.
Yeah, we'll see if Lomachenko could get that Teofimo Lopez rematch.
I doubt it though.
We'll see because they're both under corrupt Bob. So
yeah, listen, there's no money in that fight. There's no money in that fight for Bob, so Bob's not having that.
And you don't want to know why they're not having any fucking money? Because of him. Because of him.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying because of him, because of his fucking crooked ass. That's why there's no fucking money, because the motherfucker's stealing everything.
And if he's not stealing, he's pretty much telling the fighters the best fight, and he's conscious of this. The best fight I'm not giving you, Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Why? Because it's not going to make me enough money. Not because you guys won't get paid enough. I can't pay my fighters enough. I can't make enough money off this fight. And he told them this live on air. He said, yo, you cannot fill a crowd. After a fight, he told him on air in front of commentators at the commentator's desk after post-fight. Well, come on, bud. You know you can't fill it. You can't fill an arena.
Terrence Crawford needs to get away, man. We're talking about the best boxer of the welterweight class. The best. The only person Terrence Crawford needs to beat is Errol Spence to be de facto the best. And
it's not. It looks like it's not happening. Heck, I know. Even Errol Spence. And granted, I'll have to look more into it, but I know there might be something with him and Pacquiao.
Yeah. So what? So Pacquiao is under the same management group with Conor McGregor. I think it's like Paradigm Sports or whatever like that. Also, right. Israel Adesanya is part of that same management group as well. But apparently, the management group fronted Pacquiao $3.3 million, and he never paid that. He never paid that money back. So they're saying like, hey,
ran off on a plug, man.
Yeah, he's a different type of dude, man.
So what you gonna do? Fight him?
They're saying, yeah, they definitely can't do that. But they're talking about, hey, we're filing a junction to stop the fight, blah blah blah. In my opinion, I think that there's too much money in the Errol Spence and Pacquiao fight. Somebody from somewhere who's gonna do some type of settlement, like, hey, take the money, fuck off. You know, because that's too much money to lose out. For you telling me, hey, we have potentially to make millions of dollars, each of us, 8 figures a piece, and we're gonna give that up because somebody couldn't pay off $3.3 million? No. Yeah, somebody, like I said, somebody from somewhere, they're gonna take care of that issue. Yeah, that's a fight they don't want to lose.
Yeah, that's a fight you definitely want to keep, especially because it's too big of a fight. So, like, I mean, I guess we'll have to keep our ears open for that. I know Gervonta Davis also fought over the weekend in Atlanta, and he actually came through with the TKO win in the 11th round against Mario Barrios, who actually, from what I've seen of the fight, and when I watched it, he was giving Tank an issue. He was doing good. He was doing good in the fight for the most part.
He was winning.
Yes.
He was winning the fight. Even Floyd came. It's like, hey, look, on the scorecards, you are down. There's a conspiracy out there that Floyd did it to rile Tank up to go out the next round.
Yeah, I did hear something that someone was like, yo, Floyd probably bet that this fight wasn't even going to go the distance. So he probably was like, yo, listen, you're on the card, on the unofficial card, you're down. Because you saw where Tank even said something to him like, yo, I just knocked him down. What are you talking about? He's like, listen, I'm here to help you.
Yeah, I'm honest. Yeah.
Don't anybody else, you should respect me because I'm being 100 with you. So it's like why he's wearing like 17 pounds of jewelry on his neck.
Yeah.
Yo, man, like it's one thing I can say is that it's beautiful seeing Floyd Mayweather now being able to be in this next stage if he chooses to stay in this stage, because he did just have a goofy fight recently. I don't know. It was pretty interesting seeing that. Just him being in the corner side of like a great fighter, which is Gervonta Davis. So it was good that he did give him that tip because Gervonta Davis would have lost and he would have had that scratch on his record. One thing I will say is, because I know you talk about this a lot, about like the celebrity boxing getting too much attention, and like fights like this doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So I did watch the press conference between these two, and I realized why they can't sell a fight like that is because they don't know how to sell a fight. These two are literally, I watched the whole press conference, and I'm like, there's so many better yet, at some point at the end of the press conference, Barrios, the commentator asked Barrios, hey, your coach who was out here just talking to Davis's coach that we did a press conference with was like, oh, yeah, Barrios is going to beat the white meat off of him, beat him to the white meat. Commentator says, oh, like we all black, so you know what that means, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. Gervonta Davis is like, well, I mean, he's been training hard, so, we'll see what happens. I do what I can do. Mario Barrios is like, I mean, those are my trainer's words, not mine. Like, when I see that shows me exactly why they can't sell a fight.
And when you say that and you bring up that example, that's it, man. I can't dispute that. As much as we may not be fans of the Paul brothers, they know how to sell a fight. Yeah. And they know how to get people invested enough to spend their money to watch them get their ass whooped. Or even though they haven't got their ass whooped, I mean, Logan, he got schooled by Floyd, but what I'm trying to say is they make people care.
Yeah.
And these boxers, they better start stepping it up then, because like you have everybody doing fucking boxing now. Like it's a trend, like Blueface fighting some random fucking
the guy from The Office.
The guy from The Office.
from Staples.
Yeah, from Staples, hey, you look like you've been in a gym before. We can offer you some money. So like it's the actual elite boxers, you're right, Spence, they're going to have to step it up. And it's kind of like over in the UFC. There's a reason why the stars are who the stars are, because they have a personality. They got some type of charisma. And that's why the UFC gets behind them versus, like, here's a good example. Mike Perry, if he didn't have a personality, he would have been cut from the UFC. He's not a great fighter. He's a real definition of a journeyman, middle of the pack. He loses more than he wins, it seems like. But because of his crazy ass personality and his off the wall, hey, I'm just gonna do shit, say random shit, including the N-word and shit like that.
Because he's 1% black.
Yeah,
from what he says.
They said he stopped. That's what he said.
So hey, he would have been cut if it wasn't for his personality. Let's just say that much.
Yeah.
Same thing with Donald Cerrone. His ass would have been cut if he didn't have that whole cowboy personality that he had.
Hey, even speaking of that, and I know we need to close this up pretty soon, but even when you say that, you look at Jorge Masvidal. Probably would have got cut had he not built a personality. Granted, he started winning fights, but he added the personality to help push him along the ranks. Kobe Covington.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like,
well, he would.
He had talent. He had talent.
Right,
I'll give you that. I'll say this: he had the talent, but it was the talking that helped get him in front of the crowd and made people want to see him fight. And the reason why he is looking like he's going to be fighting for the championship again.
Yikes!
And it's like it's on, and I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to watch him fight because I bought into the character.
Right. You want to see the guy get knocked out or lose, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why. So when you say what you say about Tank and Barrios, they're sitting there picking their nose, and
they both undefeated fighters.
Well, both undefeated, both champions, which they're, even though they're 3 pounds apart.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's
a whole nother conversation.
The sham of the sport.
But yeah, I mean, anything you want to say, Nigel, before we get up out of here with the topics?
I'm good. Y'all said pretty much everything. Like, you know what I mean? I watched like the Tank fight. He beat him up. I mean, it was kind of a little back and forth for a little bit, but I mean, like it was cool to see him get the stop.
Yeah, definitely so. In Tank fashion. Just wish like we said, just hopefully he learns how to sell a fight, because now they're talking about what the kid that's been running. I've
Ryan Garcia.
Right, yeah,
Ryan Garcia.
Has he fought anybody like recently?
No. Nah. He's literally been on Twitter for about a good 6 months talking about who he wants to fight, backing out the fight. First it was Pacquiao, then it was Gervonta Davis, Teofimo, Devin Haney. Every time he gets close to making the fight, he always, for some odd reason, I don't know why, for some reason he's not able to come into contract or whatever. And I think he's under Eddie and not Bob. So I mean,
he's as fast as his hands are, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, basically.
Even quicker.
Okay.
Yeah, quick.
His tongue's quicker than his hands, and he finds a way of weaseling himself in and out of fights.
That's the proper terminology, weasel. I mean, like Eddie Hearn comes up, hey man, you're going to be making X. Hey, Eddie, it's just a bad day. Got a quinceañera. Da da da.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh God, yeah. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to Ryan Garcia, that's just the way he moves. But I know they are calling for Gervonta Davis, so I mean, that's what we'll. I think there'll be more to see if that fight. I doubt that fight ever happened, but if it does, what they do, well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, with that being said, any closing remarks for the audience before we get up out of here?
I want to say, listeners, thank you for tuning in to us. Episode 62. Make sure you check us out at the Highly Advised Podcast on Instagram and YouTube, and Advise Highly on Twitter. Make sure you follow us individually as well. Me, Big Cozy, Too Cozy, Spence, Saint, Kitch, and Nigel. ST.Kitch, and the Kitch is with a K and not a C.
Well, let me spell it. I'll spell it. ST.KITCH.
There you go. Boom. And then for Nigel, relaxing, no G _ Jackson. And when I say no G, don't type in no G. We're just saying there's no G after the relaxing. Yeah, so make sure you follow him. And he's an entertaining individual. And shouts out to everybody.
Boy, be tripping, man. Listen.
Yeah. Boy tripping high.
Boy tripping high, man.
Off that Soulja pack, man. Yeah. But nah. I mean, yeah. Make sure everybody go follow us, as well as check out the social media platform. Follow us on, subscribe to us on YouTube, the Highly Advised Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, the Highly Advised Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Advise Highly. So if you want to hear anything else we have to say, any extra comments, you want to communicate with us, leave a comment, like, message, subscribe, like a picture, comment, send a DM, shout us out. We'll shout you out. We're not doing no like for like thing. This isn't 2011, but we'll find a way of making sure that it's mutually exclusive for both of us while also enjoying ourselves as well as enjoying you. So pull up and come through. It's the Highly Advised Podcast. Yeah, cross space of mixed martial arts and hip hop. Go ahead.
And last thing, listeners, for the real listeners or real fans, if you guys ever want to do a call in on the show for a particular segment, talk about anything, hit us up on the DMs, and maybe we could talk something or work something out. But you got to be an avid listener, though. We're not doing no 15 minutes of fame. You will be embarrassed, and you will be hung out to dry.
Matter of fact, actually, scratch that. If you do want your 15 seconds of fame, right? If you got new music and you want us to listen to it, or if you're a fighter and you want us to rate your fights, listen, we will do it unapologetically. Just remember that. You may not like the results, and we'll put the results out for the world to see.
Especially with the music. Some people are like handing out trash, man.
Hey,
like,
whoa. Trash to your ears, but maybe gold to others.
Sophisticated listeners here, man.
Sophisticated listeners.
I'll tell you what, Spence might not like ASAP Ant, but not all of his music taste is trash.
I'm not saying nobody's bringing up ASAP Ant. I'm just
Nigel was giving you a compliment.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you, Lyle.
Listen, man. Hey, man. All of a sudden, I had flashbacks of Lyle for a second, man. That's what it was.
Flashbacks of me. What an underhanded fucking statement. I was trying to just inform you, not just compliment. And you found a way.
All right, are we done, y'all?
Spence with the last word.
Listeners, you've been highly advised. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Drink your water.
Respect, love y'all. Peace.
Yeah, you've been highly advised. Shashaw.